Alright, what's up there, SEO pros? Today I'm going to be showing you how to use Google Search Console. This is going to be for people who are newer to SEO and don't have a lot of knowledge on how to use analytics or Search Console or any of that stuff. If you already have been doing SEO for a little while and you're familiar with sort of the basics to Search Console, then this might not be the video for you, but I will be sharing some tips around things that I did learn later on in my SEO career that have been helpful with boosting certain things like click-through rates and just overall helping get extra data for your SEO campaigns that you can use to optimize the sites that you're working on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you my Google Search Console. Now, I haven't really worked a lot on my website in the last probably 6 months or so, so I only have about 6,000 clicks on my personal website, which isn't a whole lot, especially for somebody who does SEO. But the reason for this is because I have better conversions by doing YouTube videos and using Facebook as my main platforms for generating conversions. And the reason for that is because if you look at the SEO keywords that I have to compete for, they're a lot more competitive than what I'd have to do to rank on something like YouTube or bring in traffic from somewhere like Facebook or something. So if you're wondering, like, Chase, why do you have a website and you only have 6,000 clicks in 3 months? Well, I do have other websites as well that are local that are ranking very well. They're bringing in a good amount of traffic, but just because you do SEO doesn't mean that SEO is always the answer for everybody, and it's important to remember that. I used to try to sell SEO to everybody when I first started out, and then I realized that not everybody needs SEO. At least not over other types of marketing. SEO is something that will be helpful for anybody at pretty much any point, but sometimes it's not worth the amount of money that somebody's going to have to invest in order to make a profit off of it. So anyways, here's Google Search Console. This is the newer Google Search Console. There used to be an older version that looked like this, which I actually kind of liked a little bit more. Felt a little bit easier to use. But unfortunately, Google is going to be switching this over permanently very soon, so I might as well do the tutorial on this version. So when you go into whatever property that you have, and if you don't have anything in here once you go to Google Search Console, the way you add it's pretty simple, and I know most of you guys probably already know this, but you just press Add Property. You're going to add your domain name here, so I would just add chasereiner.com. This is already in the system, so I'll just do chasereiner1 to see if it pulls something else. Press continue, and then there's a couple different ways you can verify this. This is within your DNS configuration. If you wanted to just verify one URL instead, which, you know, you only need one URL prefix anyways, you don't need to add all the different versions. That's how it used to be, but it's not really anymore. So you would just add your preferred version. The way you figure out what your preferred version is just go to chasereiner or whatever website you're going for, see whatever this is pulling. Obviously you want to make sure that there's not a redirect here, so you would go, put in the different versions of the website, make sure it's redirecting, which it is. And you would put it in right here. Press continue. It's already verified, so obviously if it wasn't, you would do the verification method that it suggests, which again is pretty simple. One of the easiest ways is just to add the HTML tag on your website in the header or in the body. Sorry, in the header of your website it says before the first body tag. So if you have Yoast as well, you can put this in there and it'll verify through Yoast, which is nice. So once your property is set up, if you don't have any data because you haven't really had your website around for a while, or you don't have any data because you just haven't had Google Search Console, then this this portion of the tutorial I'm gonna do in a little bit isn't gonna be something that you're gonna be able to really do, but it will still be important to watch. All right, so let's go over the site. So here's where all your different properties will be if you want to switch in between websites. The overview will show your performance of how your organic traffic is doing, how much traffic you're getting off of Google. The coverage is the amount of pages that I believe are indexed on Google, and it'll show you if any of them have issues or not. So you can see if I click on this, there's some redirect errors. So these pages are not redirecting properly, I suppose. See? So I need to go and fix the redirects there. So it's kind of nice to be able to go through and see what the different errors are that are showing up for your pages. And then these are all the excluded pages that we don't want indexed. Which is about 2,224 pages. And it'll show you sort of what these issues are as well. I don't really know what crawl anomaly is. I guess we could look at it. So at least it shows you what the issues are. An unspecified anomaly occurred when fetching this URL. This could mean a 4xx or 5xx level response. Try fetching the page using the URL inspection tool to see if it encounters any issues during the fetch. So these are probably a bunch of pages that I set as 410s, I'm assuming. So I could grab this page, I suppose. Let's try to grab this one. And you can see these are a lot of pages that I definitely don't want indexed, like, you know, WP login, stuff like that. So again, it said that we can take this and put it on URL inspection, plug it in. While this is loading, I'll answer a question from the live chat. Yeda says, hey Chase, what's the best for online teaching service via Skype? Local SEO or national SEO or what? For an online teaching service via Skype. I'm not actually sure what you're asking there. I'm sorry about that. So it says URL is not in Google. This page is not in the index, but not because of an error. See details below to learn why it wasn't indexed. So it's not in the sitemap. The referring page, I guess, is this page that's pointing to it. Is that true? So it isn't anymore. Must have been when it got picked up. Last crawl was July 3rd. It's about 2 weeks ago, I suppose. Crawled as Googlebot desktop. So that's the spider that crawled the page, not the mobile bot. Crawl allowed, yes. Failed crawl anomaly. So it's the same sort of issue. So again, I think the problem with this page, what crawl anomaly means, is it's just a 404 page. So it was there before, but it's not anymore. And what I usually do if it's a 404 page is I will use my 410 plugin, and that plugin will actually check for all of the 404 pages on the website, and then it'll switch them to 410s for you. If you want to figure out that plugin, like what plugin I use and all the plugins I use, you can just grab them here by entering your name and your email. And here's all the tools that I use for websites, as well as my Facebook group and my checklist, that kind of thing. Okay, so if we go back to overview, we keep going down, we have enhancements, so it'll show you different things that you can do to improve your website, I suppose. Mobile usability, if we open the report, we can see clickable elements too close together. And then I guess it'll show us the page that it's picking that up on. And then if we click on what that means, it says, this report shows the URLs for sites where touch elements such as buttons and navigational links are so close together to each other that a mobile user cannot easily tap a desired element with their finger without also tapping another neighboring element. To fix these errors, make sure to correctly size and space buttons and navigational links be suitable for mobile visitors. So all we'd have to do is just see for ourselves. We'll go grab this link, minimize it so we can see these buttons that are showing up, and I'm assuming that these buttons are probably these that are popping up, and we're getting some errors there. So I guess we'd probably just have to change those. Okay, scroll back to overview again. So those are the 3 things that show up here. I don't know if you can customize this like Google Analytics. I don't think you can. This is pretty much just what you get in the overview. So we're going to skip performance for a second, although it is very important, but this is going to be the main part of the tutorial. So I'm going to save it for the end because it is also the most complicated. URL inspection. This is for if you want to see if a URL is currently listed on Google or if it's not, and if there's any errors or any extra information you want to get about that URL. So if I grab this URL right here from a blog post I did, I can plug it into the URL inspection tool and press enter, or press the search thing. And here it says URL is on Google but has issues. It can appear in Google search results if not subject to a manual action or removal request. However, some issues prevent it from being eligible for all enhancements. Learn more. And click on it. I guess that's just the general information. And here it says page is not mobile friendly. And here's the issues of why. Content wider than screen. Clickable elements too close together. And obviously if it's not mobile friendly, then we're not going to be able to rank it as high. So if we look at rank and rent, this was actually something that was number 1 at one point, and the knowledge box as well, and it got pushed down because of that issue. So just simply by going into Google Search Console, you can start seeing issues that are appearing on your clients' websites and recommend them fixes such as these. This is really cool as well because Google's actually telling us here what issues we specifically need to fix in order to rank our URLs higher. Which is pretty nice because a lot of the time Google doesn't do that. You have to guess. So test live URL, that's if you wanted to see how it's showing up, I believe. Let me see. Some of these things are a little bit more new than the older search consoles, so I'm not 100% sure on them. One thing I will note is that if you do end up fixing the issues here or update the page, what you'd want to do is click on the thing here that says request indexing so that you can, okay, so all it does is it just goes and rechecks if there's any issues, which there is. So if you fix something, you'd want to click request indexing, and then Google will hopefully go and re-index this page, re-crawl it, so that you're basically not just waiting a month or something for Google to go back to your page and re-crawl it and then see the things that you changed. So if you do change something on a page, you optimize it, you want to make sure that you are requesting to get it indexed again. If we click on Google Index, I believe it'll show us. Will it show us? Oh, I suppose not. I guess this button doesn't do anything right now. Okay, so let's keep going down. So if we go to index and then coverage, this was the one thing that we already saw before from the thing that was linked. And again, you can click on these different buttons to see what the different errors are, or warnings, or excluded issues. If we scroll down to sitemaps here, this is where you're going to want to submit your sitemap, especially if you have a brand new website and you don't have a sitemap submitted, you want to make sure you put it in here and that there's no errors with the sitemap. The sitemap I use is just the Yoast sitemap. Looks like I might have a couple issues, like submitted URL marked no indexed, which isn't a big deal. Basically, it means that there are URLs in the sitemap that are no indexed URLs, and they should probably be 410 or removed from the sitemap if they're going to be no index, basically is what it's saying. If we keep scrolling down, here's enhancements. So this is where I think Google sort of tells you the different things you can fix, like mobile usability, logos, products. I think this is for product markup if you're using schema markup for your products. Site links search box. And I believe this is the search functionality on some websites, if there's any errors there. This is very important right here, security manual actions. This is something you want to check if you're doing an audit for somebody, because you want to make sure that there's no manual penalties or actions affecting their website. And if people don't have Search Console set up on their website, they're going to have no way of knowing whether or not they have manual actions. So Search Console is really the only way to know. So we click into here, no issues, so that's good. And if there was, there would be a message telling you what you would need to do in order to fix it. And basically a manual action is, it's not an algorithmic penalty. It's if anything is affecting your website, based on something that one of Google's people in their team went and manually said, hey, look, this is something that these people are doing that's not right, like building a bunch of fake links or spinning content or something like that, abusing schema markup. Security issues. None there. That's if we had any malware or anything on the website. I've seen that before on some of my clients' websites. Links. This is where you can get an idea of the websites that are linking to your website. And the anchor text. I like to use Ahrefs though more because it's a little bit more accurate, a lot more accurate actually. Settings, this is who's going to be a verified owner, and if you want to add anybody to your account as well, you would do it through here. That's pretty much it. So you have submit feedback if there's any issues, whatever. About the new version, this is documentation, and then go to the old version. So that's pretty much all of it except for the most important part now, which is performance. Now before I go into this, does anybody have in live chat right now, do any of you have any questions about what we've covered so far? What's up, Lucas? What's up, Twino? Kartik says, I stay in India, but I want to make an affiliate site for the US audience. How can I do that? I don't know. You would have to make a... That's more of a business question than an SEO question. I can't really help you there too much. Follow through Hugh says, when I try to look up my domain, it says URL is not on Google. This page is not in the index, but not because of an error. See the details below to learn why it wasn't indexed. Learn more. So is the URL on your website working? Because if you can put it in chat, I can look at it. While we wait for Hugh, let's go into performance. So this is where I spend most of my time in Google Search Console. And the reason why is because I use this to really get a good idea on what I need to optimize first on a website. So if we look at the last month, And you can filter by however many days you'd like. You can filter by last 3 months, 28 days, 7 days, 6 months, 12 months. I usually prefer to look at more recent data because generally it's more current with what my website's currently at. So even the last 7 days is kind of a good metric because it's going to give me the best average positions for what I'm looking at. And I'll show you what I mean in a second. So let's say I click on the last 7 days for my website, press apply. Now you can see in the last 7 days, I've gotten 386 clicks off of Google, 29,000 impressions or views to the different pages I have showing up on Google. My average click-through rate is 1.3%, and a click-through rate is the percentage of impressions that resulted in a click. Okay, so the amount of people who view divided by the amount of people who clicked on it. And then the average position is the average position of your site in the search results based on its highest position whenever it appeared in a search. Individual page position is available in the table below the chart. Position determination can be complicated by features such as carousels or knowledge panels. And a carousel is a thing that shows up on Google that's sort of like a scrolling image or answers. A knowledge panel is the thing that you'll see show up on like the side of Google if you look up like cookie recipes or something, or at the top. So this would be like a knowledge panel right here. That might actually be called a rich snippet. No, that's a rich snippet. This might be called I'm pretty sure that's a knowledge panel. I always get these confused. Here we go. So there's knowledge graph, knowledge panel. Your business information in the knowledge panel. Okay, so I'm pretty sure the one that is at the top is the knowledge graph, and then the ones on the right is the knowledge panel. So like, for instance, if I look up Chase Reiner, and you guys can correct me in chat if I'm wrong on this, this would be a knowledge panel on the side. Okay, so if we scroll down, or before we scroll down, we have a couple different things here you want to look at. So right here we have whether we want to see image results for our traffic, for our Google search results, video results. If we want to compare our web results versus our image results. We have the date range as I showed you, and then the date comparison. And then we can also filter by different things here, like the query we want to look for, the page that we're looking at, the country, the device that's being used, and then the search appearance, which I guess can be rich results. So if we scroll down, it starts with queries. Here's all the different tabs. We have queries, pages, countries, devices, and then search appearance. So first of all, for queries, these are all the keywords that people typed in before they clicked on my website in the last 7 days. So you can see somebody typed in, a fair amount of people typed in Chase Reiner 110 times in the last 7 days. And they clicked on my website for that search query 62 times, which led to a 56.4% click-through rate. And an average position of 1.4 is what I'm showing up for my on my website for this search phrase. If we keep scrolling down, you can see SEO roadmap template. I've gotten 13 clicks the last 7 days for that query. 84 times I've shown up for that query, which gives me a 15.5% click-through rate and an average position of 2.1. Now, if we want to get a little bit more specific with where these clicks are coming from, we can click on the query itself. So if I click on SEO roadmap template, and then I scroll down to pages, I will see that these two pages are where I'm receiving my clicks from for that keyword. So here it is, SEO audit checklist template. I've got 12 clicks for the keyword SEO roadmap template. And then for this PDF that I have, I've gotten 4 clicks. You can see here, one is ranking an average 2.1 position, one's ranking an average 3.8 position. Now, one of the things I'll probably want to do is, since these pages are competing for the same keyword, meaning one's trying to cannibalize the other, it would be wise to point or redirect one of these to the other and just have one show up, so that this gets more value and will probably go up a higher average position by combining the 2 of the pages together. Now, if I click back into this page right here, you'll see again at the top, I'm now filtering by the search type web results in the last 7 days for the query SEO roadmap template that contains this page. Now, if I remove just the query SEO roadmap template, I'll be left with this page, which is the SEO audit checklist template. Now, the reason why this is important is because I'm no longer filtering by one query. So I can take this page now, head back to queries, and see all of the keywords that this page is ranking for in the last 7 days. So if I scroll down, you can see here, this page ranks for SEO roadmap template, average position 2.1, 14% click-through rate, 84 impressions, 12 clicks. Keep scrolling down. This page is also ranking for the keywords Chase Reiner SEO audit template, average position 1, 85% click-through rate, 7 impressions, 6 clicks. You sort of get the idea. Now, the reason why this is so valuable is because what I can do is I can take where this page is showing up with the most impressions, like let's say SEO audit template, and I can try to re-optimize it for those keywords. Or let's say this page, SEO roadmap template, if it's in average position 2.1 and I want to bring it to average position 1, then I would probably want to try to make the page more relevant for this search phrase. Now, obviously, these 2 search phrases are very similar, but one is generally less competitive than the other. So SEO roadmap template, if I type that in on Google to see what my search result looks like, and we'll do it on a private tab, so it makes things easier for us to not get anything construed. Here it is. So as we can see, SEO roadmap template is the keyword. It's ranking number 1. But if I look at the result, which is free SEO audit checklist template by Chase Reiner, this actually doesn't appear in the title. So simply by adding this into the title, I will probably get a boost in the click-through rate, which will help also probably boost the ranking. Maybe even get a knowledge graph out of it. Hopefully that's the right word. So if I click into this search result and I go and I look for the same keyword, I'll do a little Control F, and I type in SEO roadmap template, we can see here we have this showing up maybe only a couple times in the text, but nowhere really in the header, the H1, or any of like the really important elements that are going to be showing up first for people that are going to be looking for such things. So simply by changing SEO audit template to SEO roadmap template, I'd probably rank the page higher as well, just by having the keywords within the heading tag. So we're not doing tremendously difficult SEO or anything super complicated, but that's obviously the first step that we could sort of look at. Now, if you had some money to invest in tools, and by the way, I will be doing a tutorial very soon on how to do SEO on a budget. One of the tools I'd recommend is a tool that I made, or had made for me, called Benchmarketer. And really this is a lighter version of some of the other tools out there, which sort of give you too much information. The cool thing about this tool is you can take your keyword, plug it in, and this is a desktop software, or Windows software I mean. Copy the URL, plug it in here, press go, It'll say getting your results off of Google. And then it'll start finding all of the averages for all the URLs showing up on Google for the top 10 to 20 pages. The reason why this is helpful is because it will show us if we're not including enough of a certain type of word, if we're not including enough images, if we're not including enough words in general, so on and so on. And that's very important because this is an easy way for us to go and add this stuff back into our website. So again, the most important thing about Search Console really is the fact that if you can use this, you won't really have to spend a bunch of money on rank tracking software, because all you really have to do is do, let's say, a month's worth of optimizations. That's how much time most people spend on their SEO campaigns. They do it month to month. So you take the last 28 days, press apply, and then you compare those to the previous 28 days. Now you can see here I have lower amount of clicks now than I did in the previous 28 days. So if I was an SEO client, this would not be a good report to show somebody. However, as I said earlier, I haven't been spending a lot of time working on my own site, so I'm not really surprised. Now if I go to pages, we can see which pages have been dropping. And this is actually kind of a cool feature too that I don't know if a lot of people know about. So if you take out the filter of the impressions, the click-through rate, and the average position, and just keep the clicks, you can do something kind of interesting. So what you can do is you can actually see the differences. So if I want to see the pages that went up the most, I can click on the highest to lowest. If I want to see the pages that went down the most, I can click on the lowest to highest. And again, the reason why this is cool is because if you see people losing traffic for something, you can see, oh, maybe that's a page I should go and optimize because it's losing traffic. And usually they'll be losing traffic because people won't be paying attention to any specific issues that these pages are having, or because they're just not doing their targeting well, or maybe the page 404 and they have to go put it back on. So if I go back into my software and I click on detailed analysis, again, here's all the websites that the software scanned. Here's all the titles and meta descriptions, all the lengths. And now I have all the averages. Not only that, but if I export the results, I can see in my Excel spreadsheet how these compare to my own domain. So that's sort of the biggest things that you need to know about Search Console. Obviously, if you're doing targeting like on different countries and stuff, you can scroll through here and see what that looks like. You can get data for devices, search appearance, see what's showing up as rich results. This is more experimental, I think. But that's it, guys. That's pretty much the biggest stuff in Search Console. It's not really super complicated. It's actually pretty simple. And I think the hardest part about learning Search Console is, or doing anything really, is just the repetition behind it. It's all about practice. It takes a while to get good at something, so just don't give up, really. If you do want the extra help and I have about 80 hours of tutorials that are really highly structured. I do recommend checking out my SEO certification. I let around 1 to 2 people in here per month that I personally help. You get my cell phone number and weekly meetings and group meetings and pretty much everything that you will need to succeed in SEO, as well as leads that I personally funnel to the people who get certified in my program. I actually just funneled a lead to one of my guys today. So definitely go check this out. I'll leave the link in the description of this video. And that's pretty much it. So hopefully you guys got some value from that. And that's it for today. So until I see you all next time, happy SEOing.